So good evening and welcome to Women's Only Wednesday here on the Donny Chaingang. We're back and we are ready for a new season. And it's great to have everybody looking forward to this. And we were under some pressure to get it back at nice and early. We've done so. And guess what? People are joining as we speak. We've got about 6 minutes and 18 seconds according to the clock just over there, and we are looking forward to getting everybody off that line. Remember that Donny Chaingang, it's not a race, it's not a ride, it's a weird hybrid. Well, it's unique. It is the Chaingang, and how it works is really, really simple. Donny Chaingang started off in real life. We then, Russ and I, so Russ Downing, a well-known pro, decided that we would put it onto Zwift. Why wouldn't you? Particularly when we hit the lockdowns. When that happened, well, guess what? We got loads and loads of people. We didn't think we'd get many. We got hundreds and hundreds of people. In fact, tens of thousands of people have ridden on the Chaingang. It's really, really simple. We set off with the aim is to work together as a team, as one big group, until the point at which our yellow beacon, our ride leader, says, go, 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 at which point it's every rider for themselves until they get over that finish line. Now, they can work as a team, they can work individually, they can sprint to win this, but it is all down to how those riders want to ride it, and it's really simple. Now, the ride leaders are critical, so we have a red and a yellow beacon. The yellow beacon's ride leader, the red beacon is there to sweep up the Lanterne Rouge, if you like, and we have somebody who's very experienced on Zwift as our yellow beacon. Now, our very experienced yellow beacon is in fact going to be the one and only Emma Payne. Now, Emma is, in theory, going to be on the end of a phone line very, very shortly, coming to you so we can just go a quick run through just what is in store for our riders. So remember, the role of that beacon is to lead. Our ride leader is Emma, riding for the AEO team. So good evening, Emma.
Thank you.
Hi Emma, it's good to have you with us. I'm doing really well, and even better that in theory all the tech is working, which is a minor miracle. So we've got the very first one of the winter, and we have some very experienced riders and some brand new riders for the Chaingang. How's that going to work?
We do. We've got a real mix of riders tonight, which is what the Chaingang is all about. So we're going to roll out off the start line, sub 2 watts a kilo to make sure everybody gets off the line. We're going to form a lovely group on the road, and we're going to try and hold that group together for as long as possible. We're going to slowly wind the pace up tonight, Matt, with some on-screen instructions. And at some point, I'm going to give a go, 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 and those really fast ladies at the front, we'll see what they're made of tonight, because there's some really quick ones in there. For the rest of us, I'm sure we will find a group on the road and we'll be able to ride together to the finish line. We've also got Maddie, our red beacon tonight. She'll be following the ride, sticking at around 2.5 watts per kilo all ride. So if you fancy a bit more of a social evening, Maddie is the place to be.
Well, it's great to see that we're getting more and more people joining. The numbers are ticking up steadily. And what we find is the rides build throughout the season, don't they? So we've got quite a lot of the courses already planned. And it's going to be 14 rides in total.
It is. We're going to run every other week right the way through the winter until the end of March. And we're trying to make sure we've got something for everybody. We've got a flat ride tonight to get us back into it. But over the coming months, we're going to see a variety of rides from ones with climbs at the end to ones that are a little bit rolling. And I'm sure somewhere there might even be a crit in there for those speed monsters.
Well, I can't wait to see, and of course we're going to try and get as many of them out on the Downing Cycling YouTube channel as well. So I'm going to let you go off and brief the troops, and let's run through for everybody just where we're heading. Thanks very much, Emma. Hopefully we'll speak to you maybe a little bit later on in the course.
Thanks a lot, Matt.
So great to hear from Emma there, who is, as you can tell by the wind noise, all ready to go on the turbo trainer already, and that is going to be great to see just how she's able to see if she can do as much talking as Russ does whilst trying to keep that heart rate down. Let's show you where we're heading out on the course, because our yellow beacon, Emma, aka the boss, is going to be taking you round here. This is Tempus Fugit in Watopia. A massive thank you to the guys at Zwift Hacks, because they are the team who bring us all the maps, all the details, all of the rides. Now we head out on the red section of the route. That is our roll in, and that will then turn into the course proper. We basically drop down on the course, around the turn at the bottom, we come back up, we go around the turn at the top, and we finish at the rock arch. We're going to do 2 full laps on the way through, and the key to this, remember, is that it's about working together. So we've got a 2.5k leading, 2.4k, 2 laps of 17.4, which gives us 34.4 to finish at the rock arch at 36.8k. And we'll point those out on the way through. Elevation, well, it's 2 lots of 16 metres, 32 metres in total, next to nothing. But what will happen is it means it's important to learn how to draft. And one of the key things with the Donny Chaingang is it's there to learn. It's a great learning experience, how to ride on Zwift, to make the most of the benefits of the draft, of the pace, of the speed, and to make sure that everybody learns on the way through. So, great to see who's going to be there. If you think you're going to get dropped, then don't worry. By the end of the ride, the only people who are likely to be in there at the very front are the pros, and the guys all the way back. It's everybody on the way through. It is going to be a ride for everybody, and that is what we are wanting to see. Now, we can look at the profile courtesy of fellow viewer. To be honest, it's flat. It's really, really flat, and there's not a lot in there. Just remember, it is all about staying in the group. So we come through the loop at the top, we come through the start, we go up the slight rise to the right of the screen, is coming through the lakes, and then we head back in and round. Now, our riders are getting lined up and ready to go, and we are going to see just how everybody is out and riding very shortly. We're going to jump in with our red beacon to start with, and as you can see, the riders up and riding over there. If we drop in some stats for Maddie, it's going to be, let's have a little bit of a look on here. Maddie's stats at the moment from Bolsover. Well, you can see at the moment that Maddie has got 94 watts on the go up to 110, and we're going to join them live in here. As you can hear, the ride just starting off. Now we have a map view top of the screen. We can zoom out, we can zoom in, and we can go 3D. At the moment, our group just setting off, and we'll jump in, I think, with our drone up on to the top. The aim is to get everybody out in one go. We've got 2 or 3 riders just dropped off the back at the moment, so we're going to see how they're going on, and we're just going to let everybody just to pull the group together now. Sammy Stewart, I think, already just started to drop back. Gina Hardcastle putting a bit of a pace at the moment just to try and move up. Debbie Gray, wow, 4.5 watts per kilo, so these riders are just pushing to get into the group, and remember, the aim is to keep all of the group together. So just taking a little bit of a look through the group here, just seeing these riders just sorting out themselves. Got 1 or 2 riders just jumping in and joining the group. So the aim is to get everybody back in the group. We're just going to jump in with Maddie. She's our beacon. And just seeing Joe Munden coming in to join. Got HB just kicking along at the moment. So just going to see them just jumping back in and pushing themselves back up into the group, I think. So Maddie keeping an eye on those riders behind. Now, Joe Munden is definitely one of those quick riders, but Joe at the moment looks like she is going to be a fair way behind these riders. Just going to take a little bit of a look. So Joe just making away. Now, Joe, one of our really, really quick riders. Just seeing Kate Wotton jumping back in at 0.6. So a few riders just behind the main group just being pulled in. You just see Sammy at the moment. Sammy Stewart, one of our regular riders on the main chain gang, on the open chain gang, just being dragged in here by Maddie Smith. So the instructions appearing on screen in yellow from Emma. And the communication, the message board is absolutely key to keeping this all together. So we just have Joe Munden out the back at the moment. Kate Wharton just pushing on. I think that gap just sitting fairly steady to Kate at the moment. I think it's just getting a few jumps about on the way through, but the group just starting to form here. You just see Joe Munden just pushing here, goes Sue and past Muddy because she's got absolutely hammering, and Joe's going to have no problems jumping into the middle of the group. Just got to back off now. So let's have a look at who is out and around. I think at the moment the only rider off the back is Kate Wootton, who's off the front shortly. So Kate, if you are out there, jump out, jump back in, and you'll find yourself back in the group if you are listening in real life. So let's have a little run through of some of our riders who are now making the way around this little loop. So if we zoom the map out for you, you'll see that we've just come out and away from the turn loop. This is the run in towards the Rock Arch. Now we will do 2 full laps, and that means that we finish in this direction with the old buildings and the big well out to the right side, the mine workings on the right hand side. This is the Rock Arch finish that will be at the end in 2 laps time. So just watching this group just all pull together. If you are thinking, oh, it's really tough, remember, sit in the wheels. Only go on the front if you really have to. Sit on the yellow. So it is basically all pile-on yellow. The other thing to remember, keep those messages going, keep typing, keep talking. That's what it's all about, keeping everybody together. We've got a really experienced rider in Maddie, who is our rider on the back. So let's jump in. So it looks like these riders are making the way in and looking good at the moment. So they've just come in and through. They've got 2 full laps to do and come back around from behind. So they will finish actually in this direction as they come through, because the start loop spits them in the right way to start off with. So let's just take a little check. Looks like the yellow beacon just dropping off the back here. So where's the boss gone? She's dropped off the back. Not like Emma to drop off the back. You can just see just kicking out some big power just to get herself back in with the group. So let's have a little focus in on Maddie. Now, Maddie is our red beacon. Maddie, a regular rider on the standard DCG, regular on the women's Only Wednesdays Donny Chaingang. Maddie, again, a former national cross champion, a regular mountain bike podium rider, and definitely one of the riders that we know who can be in the mix. Now giving it her time to be the beacon at the back, and it's one of the most rewarding roles. This is what we want to see, basically. Our riders coming in, joining in, and working together in the group, and you can just see that yellow beacon just making the way up through to the middle of the group. So the group are rolling around nicely at the moment, so just making the way through the desert. We're going to take the info off because we don't need it at the moment. You can just see our riders making the way nice and steadily along. We're going to jump in with some of these riders in a minute. So let's jump in with some of our riders here. First of all, let's jump in with one of our newer riders. This is Annabelle Vella, just in with the group. Another of our newer names in. Good to see Annabelle in here. Nicely riding along, nice and smooth, 80 revs per minute, which is what we want to see. Keeping it nice and close on the way through. Just seeing a very familiar name in the shape of... well, it's going to be Tara Kapinski. Kapinski, of course, the name of a certain man who penned the bear, has to be said. Nicola Whittock in the group here. So Nicola just riding nice and smoothly, and experienced Swift. You can tell you've got to do 50,000 metres of ascent to grab yourselves one of these. This is a Zwift concept, a Tron bike. And to get hold of the Zwift bike, Tron bike, you have to ride 50,000 metres of ascent. Now, let's have a little check who else is in the group. We've got Joanne Lee. Joanne, another of our regulars on the Chaingangs, and a rider who we know is going to be able to wind it up. We've got Millie Skinner in here. Millie, one of the Downing Cycling coached riders, as you can see by the Downing Cycling kit, and in fact the Downing Cycling kit also sporting a DCG on the back as well. We're on the Downing Cycling YouTube channel, and Russ and myself, well, it's a co-partnership between the pair of us, a co-production to make the whole chain gang run. Millie, a very fast rider, and definitely a rider who we know is going to be in action and going to be able to mix it up right at the front. So we're just going to jump across to another of our riders. This is Ali Lyons. Ali just tucked in nicely. Now, Ali on the standard Zwift bike now, and doing rides like this, soon going to be picking up plenty of sweat drops to make sure you get the purchases, which is the aim of this. Now, Hawkins, our next rider, we're going to jump on here and just see Hawkins on the back on a lighter weight track. Not going to need that too much in here, and you'll notice there is going to be a preponderance of Tron bikes. There's also going to be a number of riders. Now we're just going to jump on our yellow beacon who have gone for the full disc sculpture. You can't actually see the beacon because it's buried in here. Here we go. So, aero frame, disc back wheel for the yellow beacon, and an aero front wheel. So the riders on the way through, currently going on that halfway down point, and that pace just holding together. Everybody just about holding on in here at the moment. 5k covered, and just dropping around this turn. So looking good at the moment, and everybody holding together. Nobody looks to be having too hard a time on the back of the group, but there will be people for whom this is really, really tough stuff. Good to have the Catherine in here. Now, Catherine, one of our riders who is key to keeping the chain gang together on Facebook. You see Catherine back and riding shortly in that lamprey inspired kit there. Just jumping in with Julie Bratton. Bratton, again, another of our regular riders on the chain gang, and again, another experienced rider. Just seeing here that nicely in the blue Tron bike. So the pace just picking up, just 6k just about covered, and this is where we start to see the pressure starts to come on. Just in with Alex Maurice at the moment. So Alex in here, and Alex again, another rider who is looking good at the moment, just keeping it nice and smooth at 87 87 revs per minute. Need more Grand Tour coffee on board, I think, for me to be able to talk properly. It's been a busy old day. 3 chain gangs in the week this week for the Donny Chaingang. So at the moment, Maurice holding in there now. As this pace picks up, this is where we start to see whether there are any splits forming in the group. We have a little run out from the lakeside, and then we are going to be heading out a little bit further. So we've got Joe Tindley in this group. I think we've got Tracy in here as well. You can see lots of people mixing the names up, which is really good. We've got Max Philby in the group. I think we've got Emily Clark in here as well. Let's have a look. Let's see what Max is up and riding on now. Max Philby, a great rider off-road, one with more than enough skills to pay the bills. F1 Max, as she's known, one of our quick riders, and somebody, if you ever want to know just how to ride your bike off-road, follow Max down anything. She's incredibly good on any terrain, and looking forward to see just how she gets on tonight when the movement goes. Now, the blob, the group, all stuck together, as Emma is saying, means great drafting, and that means that if you're in the group, you don't have to work too hard at the back to stay in the pack compared to the riders on the front who are pushing the wind. But as you can see, the riders get bounced about and moved about. This is V3 of the draft on Swift, and it does mean that it is very realistic indeed. Jumping in with Joe Tindley. Joe, of course, one of the fast riders, coach for Downing Cycling, and Joe, of course, a fast rider for the Pro Noctis Hadi Kiartsen squad, and Joe in there looks like just looking, diving in, making sure she's not putting out too much power. Nice 90 revs a minute. So we talk about things being nice, being smooth. We're looking for revs around about the 80 to 100 mark. That means that the riders are keeping it pretty efficient and not too many power spikes, because if you're jumping up and down on the power, that's not going to be as efficient. The blob at the moment, absolutely glued together, and you could really well and truly throw a blanket over this group. Really nicely done together. The chat is very, very quiet, I have to say. Normally we would see a lot more chat. I think there's a few nervous bodies in there at the moment. So I think I'm just looking to get a little bit more talk coming out from the group. So let's have a little look through the group. Nothing at the back, nobody rolling around too much. Now, Sammy is in the group, and Sammy Stewart, third from the back there. One of our regular riders, going to be one of the riders that we know is going to be able to push on, but we know Sammy just on a way back from injury. So Sammy with a busted up arm, one of our regular fast riders though, and like all good riders, you know it's not going to be long before she's out there kicking butt all the way around the circuit. So remember, we have 14 Women Only Wednesdays on the Donny Chaingang. Now, you can either sign up for a single ride, so you can sign up one ride at a time, or if you join up and donate to help keep the show on the road on the Donny Chaingang and join up to the end of the year, you can get all of the links sent direct through. That takes you all the way through to the end of March. Or, of course, you can go for the Donny Chaingang Supporters Club, which means that every month when you donate, we give you discount codes on all sorts of goodies on the way through. So everything from 20% off OTE right the way through to lots of great goodies when it comes to things like Grand Tour coffee, to Halo wheels, to Oakley's, you name it. So just running in with Emma Gilbert. Our riders are just coming through town at the moment. If we zoom the map out, you can see we're still a little way off that turn. Some interesting choices of music, has to be said, as we go through the neon city down here in Watopia. Of course, Swift creating Watopia to be the best riding world that there is. And at the moment, still looking pretty good. Looks like Maddie at the moment not got too much work on trying to pull people back. So everybody looking like they're doing the business. Nearly 10k in at the moment. So the distance is ticking on here. And at the moment, that pace is comfy. I think pretty much everybody looks to be warming up. Just see these heart rates, though, just starting to rise up. Now, Joe Munden, no heart rate on Joe, but we know Joe, one of our very quick finishers. Just going to dive in with Loveland here. So Loveland, another of our regular riders on the Chaingang, hopefully in the future. At the moment, just I think just starting to get the feel of how the ride goes, and what you'll find is these riders hopefully will be coming back a week in, week out. The numbers will build as they do on the Open Chaingang that's on a Tuesday and a Thursday, and it always pays to be in the start. So you're in, the easier it is to get used to it, the more time you've got to get used to it, and lots of ride-ons coming in. Now our riders are about to head out around the turns here, and then that is effectively a quarter of the ride distance done. So we're going to watch these riders around the turn. The group is all holding together well. Looks like we're just sitting on the front, just holding the pace at the moment, and just keeping the ride together. It's looking good. So Joe Munden tried to repair her heart rate strap and got spat out, and Maddie just saying the front is pulling well. Well, one rider who is right up there is Emma. Emma, how are you getting on?
I think we're having a nice time, thanks, Matt. The group's all together, we seem very happy and chatty, and the tunes are on, according to Lily.
Well, indeed, and it's looking pretty good up here at the front, but this is a complicated route, isn't it?
It is, and it's deceptively fast as well. So, you know, we're ticking along really nicely, and the pack really moves quickly on this route.
Definitely. Now, we go back and round the far loop. We come back to the loop we just come round, and then we go all the way back through the rock arch, do the little loop at the other end, and then approach the way that we first approached the rock arch. So we go underneath the finish actually quite a lot of times, don't we?
We do. So we know where that rock arch is by the time we get there, when we're all out at the end, but we do. So we come all the way out, we turn round, we go back, we turn round, we come all the way out, and we turn round and we finish.
Okay, so yeah, it is going to be so out back. So we've left, we go out all the way to the turn we've done now. We go right back almost to the start. We turn around, we go back round this turn, we go back under the arch, and then we return around and come back in this direction. It's going to be interesting to see just who can remember all that, or even better, just keep watching the K's ticking down. And if you've got the live pictures coming out to you, you're going to know just exactly how far you got to go, because guess what? We'll be calling it down as well. Well, I think we better let Emma get back in there. Heart rate currently climbing, as it always does when people are talking on the phone, and the watts per kilo actually climbing as well. So
I need to pay attention.
It's all good fun. Thanks very much, Em. Good luck.
All right, bye.
So that was a quick catch up with Emma out on the course at the moment. So all looking good at the minute, and looks like just working well together. Just in with Millie Skinner at the moment. So Millie's heart rate's 153. So getting called to move up to 3 watts per kilo maximum now. So that's the guys on the front. You're going to need to be at 3 watts per kilo. This is where things get a little bit more hectic, because that is a big call up here. But we have hit nearly at 12K in. So let's see what's going to happen. I think I'm really starting to push this group, because that is some serious pace being put in, and I think the pack at the moment, if they sit in the back, they won't need to be doing the watts per kilo that is being called on the front. Remember, you need to be sat in the back of that group. So just in with HB here, which is going to be, I think this is going to be Helen just in at the back. Sorry, Heather in at the back here. So Heather just riding at the back, and remember, sit in the group is key. Don't let that gap go more than 6 meters, because once it goes beyond 6 meters, you're getting 0 draft on the way through, but it does diminish the further back you go, so it pays to be sat right in the group. Now, looks like, who else we got in here? It's good to see Rhea Mobbs in the gang. I've had the pleasure of seeing Rhea progress as a rider and really grow up in cycling, and another of our fantastically quick riders. When put some mind to it, I wouldn't want to be up against her on a ride at the moment. This group just about holding together. The riders on the front just stretching it a little bit, just seeing some slightly higher numbers. The guys on the front just rolling around round about that 3 watts per kilo mark. Just going to jump in. We've got Poppy Thompson in the group, and great to see Poppy back in with the gang. Just going to get a view. Poppy in here in the Downing Cycling kit, but in the on the pink Trek bike. So looks like she's working really well at the moment. So this gang just about holding together. Let's see. It looks like Tiffany Fletcher just holding in on the group here. So Tiff in the gang. Tiff, of course, working for British Cycling in the gang here, and looks like just nicely in the group, and that GBR strip there. So the gang's still holding together. I mean, we've called a higher pace, and everybody's still holding together, but it starts to take its toll when that pace keeps on kicking at the moment. Nobody really getting distance at the moment, and I remember seeing a number of people saying, oh, I'm not going to be able to hold that pace, I'm not going to be able to hold that pace. Well, do you know what? You are. Not only are you holding that pace, but you're doing it in some style as well, guys, because this is really smooth. Just watching our riders in here, and it is looking really, really good. So just in to see how our riders are getting on. Looks like our riders all just nicely holding the pace here. Now, one of the things the riders do need to bear in mind is that because this is a women's only ride, most of these riders are all at about the same kind of weight. Very, very similar. You're not going to get anybody coming in at sort of the 100, 103, 104. We see a lot of the big guys coming in at in the open ride. That means that the group dynamics are more suited to that lighter rider sitting somewhere roughly between 50 kilos and round about the 75-80 kilo mark. Most of our riders will fall in that window. They're not going to be pushing the 100 plus kilos. That means on a flat route like this, the group will stay together better and it's more responsive. It will ride, the group will ride more like you would do individually, and that makes a big difference. And that's one of the reasons why we love making sure that we get the Women's Only Wednesdays Chaingang out there, because it gives you that same feel that you get riding in a group together, but the pace will be high, and we're going to see, I'm sure, plenty of PBs, plenty of personal best times, and plenty of people clocking up some really high heart rates on the way through without actually realising it. So just a little quick recovery by Tara Kapinski, just pushing into the group there. And Tara just been pushed slightly off the back of the group, then quickly getting herself back in again. Looks like Ali in here, Rhea just holding the back. Gina Hardcastle in this group as well. So Gina just rolling around on the back of that gang. So the gang nicely underway, moving along. Lots of people watching and keeping an eye on what's going on out there. Lots of people watching who regularly ride the Tuesdays and the Thursdays, and just getting quite a lot of messages come in from riders who are planning on jumping on a little bit later on in the season, and just got the winner of 2 stages of the virtual Tour de France just come online, and just send a message to all the riders. So April Tacey, who has just re-signed for another year on her contract, has turned around, has just messaged in saying, great to see everyone's on the gang tonight, have fun and smash it. And that is from the rider who took the very first stage, in fact 2 stages on the very first virtual Tour de France, Cycling Weekly virtual rider of the year, April Tacey. Now, of the Drops team, sends a message that says, have fun and smash it, guys, with a big power up, arms up, and on fire. So, going to be fast, going to be quick, and at the moment, everybody looking like they are all holding on in there as the pace lifts up. So, great to get that message from April. Thank you very much, April, who is just online. So, let's see how our riders are going. Just sitting... Heather B just putting in the message, regretting the Swift Academy yesterday. Not surprised. Maddie saying last night, I'm not. Yeah, a hard ride the day before could be very, very tough. But Heather at the moment, just maybe feeling the pace a little bit. That could be worse. You could be riding a national series cyclocross race 2 days after having done a team time trial. I can't imagine you'd do something daft like that. But there you go. Okay, so our group are now rolling back through, and going to be heading back in towards the rock arch once again. And you can just see they've got so much desert to cover here. It's really tricky to get your bearings, but it is also very, very flat and very, very fast as well. So the gang's holding together, still keeping it smooth, and nobody's being distanced too much at the moment. No one pushing on at silly numbers. Let's take a little bit of a run up to the front. What are the guys at the front doing? Well, we're just seeing Rhea just nicely in here. Sammy Stewart just regretting the chili she's inhaled. Yeah, chili's not a good move first thing on the way through. So good to see Stevenson in here as well. So Stevenson just right up. Cass Harry's back with us again. Good to see Kaz in here. Sarah Louise Hawkins in the group. Emily Clark is in with us. Emily, again, another of our regular riders on the cycling scene, joining us now on the Donny Chaingang. The women's only Wednesdays on the Donny Chaingang. But all looking good as these riders. This pack still just about all holding together. You just see the back now starting to splinter slightly. A bird's eye view from our helicopter, our eye in the sky at the moment. And if we just take a little bit of a run down, we're going to try and drop in with our red beacon. I think Muddy's soon going to start getting customers for the red bus, as it's known. So the party bus at the back is the red beacon bus. It's a really rewarding role. Our riders just coming under the arch. This is not the direction you will finish. I repeat, this is not the direction you will finish. Doesn't work that way. You go round the loop at the far side and you will finish coming back in the opposite direction. So the gang are holding together just about. It looks like the split's starting to open, which is to be expected because the pace has picked up. Remember, we are now at half distance just about. The gang now going into the long turnaround here as they're going to come around this turn, and then they're going to be heading back out around the circuit once again. So going to make this turn. So it looks like the red bus just starting to form. So Maddie going to be collecting riders together. I think Gina time to jump in the party bus with Maddie. Say it's party bus, but actually it's just one of them fun groups that we have that basically holds together the back of the pack. Lots of people will be in there before we get to the end of the ride, I'm sure. And the way to do it is to jump in, to kick into the back of that group and work with them. They will help tow you along. Maddie, one of our really experienced riders on the gang. And we know that Maddie will just try and grab everybody in together. So round the turn they go. We're going to run up the road now to the back of the pack. Seen a few people with power-ups. Interesting to see Lily just asking why she's not getting many power-ups. That can happen because you don't have the right bike. Our group now heading in towards the straight. So let's see if we can get hold of our beacon, our yellow beacon, just to confirm as we come through. This is the route that they're going to be heading as they go in and through to finish. So on the way in to the start. So we're going to jump in straight in with Emma. Hi Emma, how are you doing?
I just heard that phone call and went, seriously?
So we are heading in the direction now that we're going to finish in. Coming up, so it's going to be one full lap to go when we hit the line. An amazing group.
It is, it's fantastic, isn't it? Absolutely brilliant tonight. Oh, still nearly together when we finish that one.
Yep, and so that is going to be the finish of lap 2. It's going to be an exact repeat of the gantry as we've just gone through underneath now. So looks like Everybody working well, and Maddie collecting riders as the bus forms at the back, which is exactly what it's all about.
That's it. And the red beacon's now got a group with them, and we're moving on.
Well, I'm going to let you move on and get your breath back, and we'll catch up with you later. Thanks, Emma.
Thanks.
So great to catch up with Emma, who, as you can tell, things are starting to hot up over in Emma's Pain Cave. Question is, how many of our riders are going to be able to stay in there? Remember the time ticking on here. Our beacon group has gone. We're going to see, I think, the pace start to get wound up a little bit here, but it can't be too long, I don't think, before we start to see a indication that the group is going to start splitting. Looks like our next rider's just starting to feel the pressure here as we're focused in on Emma. So 3.5 watts per kilo max is going back up. So looks like Heather is heading back to Maddie. Another one going back to join the bus. It's the best place to be. Let's face it, it's where I'd be riding along with this lot. Tell you, be straight out of the back and hanging on with the red beacon and shooting the breeze at the back, or straight breathing like there's no tomorrow. Trying to hang on to the red. To be fair, because the guy's moving here, 42 kph at the moment, and this group is moving well. So the gang are working nicely. It is on its way in towards the lake and going well at the moment. So the pace picking up nice and steadily. Just jump in with Kaz Tarry in here. So Kaz, another of our riders. Could see Kaz back in with us in the dark blue there. With the grey S-Works and the white and black wheels. Just sat in the bunch quite nicely here and keeping that pace rolling round. You can just see at the back of this group. I start seeing, I think, Tara Kopinski now going to be heading to join Heather and Maddie, Gina, and I think it's going to be Fruity Alone. What a great name for your avatar. Much better than mine. And that is for sure. So let's run up now. Ali Lyons just in the danger zone at the moment, just feeling the pressure. And remember, if you do lose the group, the aim is to sit with the gang as long as you can. When you lose the group, then that's the time to find yourself some more riders to sit with. So the pace starting to pick up. And just starting to see some of our really fast riders up near the front. Poppy Thompson's up here, Hawkey's up here. Looks like Emily Clark up here. Max Philby starting to show a nose on the front here. Just seeing Joe Tinley up here. Joe, of course, we know absolute class when things start to get entertaining. And I think you can just feel the tension building. Julie Brad's in here. And do you know what? You really can see that the pace is getting quicker and quicker and quicker, and the riders are getting more and more nervous now. It's pretty twitchy. I think there's going to be a few people just starting to feel this as the pressure goes. The heart rates will start jumping, and this is where we're going to see who is got the kick when the hammer goes. When that signal is given, it will come up across the screen from our beacon Emma. I can't imagine it's going to be all that long. Like you, I don't know where it is. The only person who knows where they're going to call it is the ride leader. Now, that could be the Wolf, who is Jimmy Allen. He's the man standing in for Russ this week, whilst Russ is at the World Championships. Could be Emma, the boss, who is our Women's Only Wednesdays ride leader. Or, of course, it could be the bear himself, Russ, who's, at the moment, keeping everybody entertained over at the World Championships. So everybody just looks like they're just easing off a little bit here. I think we've just lost a few riders, and the pace come off the front a little bit. You can just see Emma just moving up here, and you can just get a really good look at the disc and the aero front wheel there. really key thing that you need on here now. If this pace starts dropping too much, what you'll find is a lot of the riders will get recovery. It won't split quite as quick. Another rider just starting to feel the pace, just starting to, oh, and the go has gone. Just as I say that, the go has gone. Now it is every rider for themselves. There are no rules, there are no limits. This is all about who is going to be the first on the way back. Now, this is where the pressure is on. Look at the number of power-ups. So you can see the aero helmet. That reduces your aerodynamic drag by 10%. The drag there, that means you get 10% extra draft on the back from that van shape there. And looks like the pressure is really on the front now. Who's going to be able to take this away? Just rolling up onto the front goes Joe Munden. Joe, one of our fast riders. We know Joe more than capable of winding this up. But the yellow beacon now goes on the front. Looks to be dragging this out now. If you can't stay with the main group, key here is to find a group to get into the finish. This is an incredibly quick course if you're in the group. The pace picking up, 38 minutes covered. We have currently about what is going to be just over 10k to go, 6 miles or so to get them in to the finish. The riders now just easing off a little bit here, but they have done a little bit of damage. What they don't want to do is let the riders come back in, because remember, the moment that go goes, it is a race to that finish. Who is going to get across first? Just seeing Kaz putting in a big old shift here, trying to get into the back of that group. Just dropping a little bit further back, so this looks like this is going to be Tiff Fletcher with a group of 3 riders here. Now, these 3 work together. They will be able to keep that group in front inside. So you've got Tiff Fletcher in here. We've got Vella and Tracy in this gang of 3. They're chasing now. Tarry just trying to stay with that pack. Absolutely on the rivet at the moment. And you can just see that gap is opening. This is desperate. It's just got to get in there. If that pace kicks, the group in front are working. It's worth a sprint to get into the back if you can. Remember, we've got to get round the turn and back in again. So just seeing a power up coming in here, but that is on a flat 6. It's not going to increase much help here. Just seeing Lee at the moment now. The pressure just starting to take its toll. Rider after rider having to put in power-ups at the back to stay in with the group. Sammy Stewart still rolling in there. Good move by Lee there, using that draft assistance from that power-up. She makes her way in, just up in the air at the moment. Let's zoom that map out a little bit. You can see we're still a little way out of coming into town before the turn, and you can see now groups dotted back across the course. So at the moment, just in with Sammy Stewart, this group on the front rolling along. What sort of pace we got on the front? Well, we've got about 4.1. Rhea Mobbs just starting to wind up on the front here. Stevenson just looking attentive, 3 or 4 wheels back now. Catherine goes over the top with that Lamprey kit, just rolls off the front again. Rhea moves back on. Brandon's up there. Clark's up there. You can just see everybody is just starting to really put the pressure on. I don't know about our ride leader saying getting warm. It is absolutely toast out there if you are not on the wheels. And the pace definitely very hot indeed. Now, looks like it is going to be Sammy Stewart just rolling up on the front. Last we saw in that AO kit. So the AO rider, teammate of our ride leader, just moving to one side. Now onto the front goes Munden with those blue and white stripes. That Tour de Pierre on the top. Now just seeing coming alongside. Poppy Thompson nosing up onto the front. Stevenson going alongside. Stevenson now pushes on, and you can see Millie Skinner with the grey bike, the S-Works bike there, just took a little bit of a turn on the front. Meanwhile, behind, those gaps are definitely starting to open up behind these riders. If you're not in that group, then you start to feel the pressure. Now, just watching another rider just drop into the back there, and I think that is going to be Max Philby, if I'm not much mistaken. I think just rolling just at the front there. So Philby just in the blue there, just in the group, just on Lee at the moment. We've got Whittaker in there as well, Hawkins and Bratton. Gilbert just rolling in with this group, and you can just see Gilbert may well be the next rider who finds the riders on the front are just stretching them out. It's worth hanging on as long as you can. behind. Well, we've got Kaz, we've got Vela, we've got Fletcher, Tracy, the Lovelock, Gray, Lyons, Kapinski, and then the bus rolling along, picking up right as it goes. So Maddie working her way up, and this group will start to pick up rider after rider. Next two riders are going to be Tara Kapinski and Ali Lyons, I think, just up the road from our red beacon. They're going to see the beacon coming soon, and as you can see, Gilbert and Hawkins just detached from this group. They're not far coming into the turn, so they're going to come round the turn. They're going to head back down. They'll go underneath the arch. They'll do the turn at the other end and then come back in to the finish. So now on to the turn. This group still staying together. When are we going to see attacks? Is anybody just going to drag the group apart? Or can they do a drag race and pull it to pieces? Or are we going to see some determined attacks on the way through? So the beacon giving the instructions. So we go under the arch, we go round the turn, and round into the finish, which means we'll get a sprint into the finish. It gives us a sprint line. Remember, the Donny Chaingang always finishing on a fixed point, like the arch. We then have a roll down to the blue banner, because those blue banners can make a difference. Now, the riders who are coming in are going to see the lead bunch come in the opposite direction. So you can just see two of our riders, three of our riders in that group, just seeing the bunch coming in the opposite direction as they come through. And they are going to be seeing them one after the other until we go back past our red beacon. The two beacons are going to pass in opposite direction. This front group, at the moment, it's pretty quiet. There's not too many attack points on here, so not too many trigger points. It is all about staying in the bunch, staying in at speed. It's going to get quicker, and you'll notice the message board really starts to go quiet the moment that the pressure is on. So our red beacon is going to be coming in the distance. It's actually the other side of town at the moment. They're going to appear coming in the opposite direction any second, and we're going to see them going one way as this bunch goes the opposite direction through town. I'm not going to be far away. Here it comes. So you can just see that red beacon group is going to be up to about 6 riders there. So that group just forming as they go past in the opposite direction. Super quick at the minute. And it certainly looks to me like this is going to be super fast in the run in. We've still got some very quick riders in this group, and nobody at the moment doing too much work. It's just staying fairly careful on the front there. Just watching Joe Tindley rolling around, Poppy Thompson. If you see a number of riders coming through, it generally means that we're getting a nice turnover, a churn from front to back, front to back, front to back. That means that the pack is working well together. If you see one rider on the front or same riders on the back, then generally it means that that group is not churning through. It's not taking turns. It is one rider really starting to pick up. Thompson again staying on the front a little bit longer here. Maurice goes on to the front here. Are we going to see this picking up? Are we going to see an attack from somebody on the way through? Are we going to see our yellow beacon rip it up? That wouldn't be the first time. The Open Chaingang on the Tuesdays and Thursdays has seen some really vicious riding lately at the very front, with some very aggressive attacking to try and break the group up. In fact, yesterday it was Greg Booker who was the rider who was trying to tear it apart, and did so in the end, breaking it clear to get a solo victory. Is it going to be a solo victory tonight? Well, let's see who is going to take this out, who can roll it in through the finish. Joe Tindley at the moment keeping it smooth, 4.3 watts per kilo. Stevenson in here currently sitting comfortably, I think, at 4.8, just 81 revs per minute, and looking good in that cryogen kit with the revs at 80 revs per minute. Not having to rev it out too much at the moment, but time is ticking away, and somebody is going to need to make a move here. They're going to have to be very confident to take on riders like Joe Tindley. So Poppy Thompson, the Pro Noctis Hadikatsun rider, goes on the front in that grey kit, riding in the Downing Cycling kit at the moment here on the Donny Chaingang. The women only Wednesdays Donny Chaingang. Wow, DCG back 14 events over the winter, and hope to see lots more riders joining our gang tonight. that are out and riding tonight. I'm sure these riders will be wondering just what hit their legs as they come through now. Rear mobs at 4.8. Rear putting in a bit of pressure here. 5.3. Is Rear going to be able to stretch this out? Is she going to snap anybody off the back of the group? Now the pressure keeps on coming, because just see Stevenson responding with 4.5. So can anybody stretch this out? Joe Munden now goes to the front, now eases off. We're going to be going into that lake in a minute, and there is a slight drag in. It's probably the only point at which you can really smash the group if you want to do it on a climb. It is the slightest gradient in and up, but it's coming up soon, and it may well be that we're going to see a little bit of a push here, because this is a big group to take into a finish with some big sprinters in that group. So here we go, coming in towards the gorge. You can just see the wall starting to narrow in on the riders. The gradient will kick slightly, and then that is where you're likely to see the riders trying to push on, trying to open up the gaps. At the moment, you just see on the front, we've currently got Sammy Stewart at 4.8 watts per kilo. Behind Joe Munden, just kicking on, pushing through. Just riding in with our yellow beacon now. The gang need to keep the pressure on. They are not distancing anybody yet. They need to do so. If they don't distance anyone as we hit this little kicker, anybody going to use it to their advantage? Joe Munden's gone hard. Has she gone hard enough to snap anybody off the back? They will be dragging a massive bunch into the sprint. This is huge for a swift sprint in, and somebody's going to need to break this up soon, or they are going to have their work cut out. The Productis team, of course, very experienced, having raced on the Tour Series circuit, but so have lots of the Data Links Paranesis team. Now you're going to see just who else has got the fast legs on them as they come up this climb. So 2%, nobody attacking, nobody going clear. Going to be very interested to see if they bring this in to the finish together. They must be either very confident or feeling the high pace that was kicked out early on. They went up to speed very quickly today on the Women's Only Wednesday on the Donny Chaingang. So rear mobs up at 4.85 watts per kilo. Joe Munden responding to this, so kicking over the top of the hill, and look at this, a gap is starting to form in the middle of the group. We're just starting to lose another rider off the back of the pack, so that's shed one, so one rider down. Can they get back on again? Oh, dangerous times if you're on the back when that attack goes, when that pace goes up, and looks to me like we're just starting to see a few more people thinking they need to wind it up with this. Got a yellow beacon in Emma was just up at 5 watts per kilo. Now Munden's going up to 5. And you just see the pace is starting to kick. They've come through, and it is starting to split riders off. But look at this, everybody coming back together just about. I think that cost one rider their place in the group here. So here we are. Let's see who's going to go. We go back through town, back past the railroad. Our riders at the moment in one group now. People starting to feel the pace. This is where you've got to kick hard. You've got to kick quick. If a gap opens, you've got to close it down. Just see the beacon making the gap across there. Now Wittert closes the gap as well. Looks like Bratton coming across the group, and it was Lee, I think, who was just distanced in that pace. Now Tinley just goes on the front, eases back out. Maurice goes up and answers that move. It's still fast. Has anybody got the cojones to give it some and to try and take this clear? Remember, we have to go under the arch, right the way around the turn and back again. Now, often people will feel that they know where they are when they go back underneath the arch the wrong direction before they do the turnaround. That's usually a good sign for people, and that is where you see people feeling that they know the distance to the finish. They know that they can finish it off from there. They also have a habit of kicking as they go into the loop again. If you don't know this course really well, then it's another very clear indicator that you're doing the turn and the run for home. If you're a sprinter, well, you want to leave it until the beacon on the side of the road for the sprint back in again. But at the moment, this group are riding along, and it looks to me like Rear Mob's very, very strong on the front of the group yet again, just pulling this group along and just trying to open up a gap. And the riders having to respond to this, but you just see Joe Tindley answering that. Rear Mob's kicks at 6 watts per kilo. Nearly just keeps trying to break clear. The heat blazing down here. You can just see the distortion on the mountains behind. So top right hand side of your screen, you'll see the archway. You can just see the riders are just going to be able to pick the arch out in the distance once they've done this right, a left, and then that long sweeping right. At the moment, no one able to break clear. Now we've seen an attack. Lily Swan's gone. We knew somebody was going to give it some. If it went a lot further now, Lily Swan has gone. The AEO rider has gone for this. Stevenson trying to respond, but look at the numbers out of Swan here. 7 watts per kilo. She's opening the gap at the moment. Stevenson is left on the front to chase it down, just about matching the numbers here. But at the moment, Lily Swan has opened a gap now. Is anybody going to be able to respond to this? Remember, they go underneath the arch to come back through. Swan is opening up the gap at the moment. She's going to try and drag this out and bring it back in again. So this is going to be tough stuff. So Swan with a big old kick opening up the gap behind. You can just see Tindley and Mobs responding to this as they come back in, around and through. So you can just see the riders just doing a little bit of a regroup as they go in and under. But at the moment you can just see Swan has got a new PB out on the front of the group. So front of the ride at the moment, you just see this group rolling in and through at the moment, just keeping it ticking over as they make their way in along here. It is tough stuff out here today on the course. So just jumping across into this big group at the moment. It's certainly all spread out across the course here, and you can just see everybody push. It's 36.6 on the clocks now. We had this down at 36.8. We do have about 2.5k of slack in the system. It's going to be close as they come around these turns. This is what we always love about Zwift, is the distances always tend to get chewed about a little bit. You can just see everybody here coming around the turn the opposite direction. This is the front of the race at the moment. This is the run for the finish. We're at 37.1. Now we go underneath the 200 meters to go mark. This is the run to the line. This is where we see the run for the finish. They have to give it some beans here to get in and through the finishing line at the front. The gantry is going to come, and they are going to get caught here. At the moment, you can just see that Stevenson just starts to get taken here. The kick is coming. You just see Rhea Mobs currently at 10 watts per kilo up on the front, but the challenge is coming. Millie Skinner, the nearest rider, can Skinner kick in? Joe Munden trying to answer it, but it's going to be Rhea Mobs after doing that work on the front. They're doing a great race. So Mobs gets it from Munden, then Skinner. It's going to be Swan, Stevenson, Maurice, Poppy Thompson, and Emily Clark coming through. Just going to jump across the gap as we just see our next group running into the finish. This is to the line now. Who's going to have the kick into the finish here? Joe Tindley just pushes in for the finish. So Tindley comes up to the line. 37.6k covered as we see our beacon come through. And then a warm down. There's going to be some seriously high heart rates. You can just see Catherine coming in with our yellow beacon. Good ride there as she comes through. We're just going to drop back because I think Lee on her way out from the turn. We're going to take a little bit of a check up the road just to see Julie Bretton has finished as well. Joe and Emma up the road. So Lee is going to be our next rider coming in towards the finish. Apologies, we can't keep with the very front. So many riders coming in that pack together. Absolutely flying day on the Chaingang. So Lee just in front at the moment. We're just going to keep a little bit of a check back to the nearest rider behind. I think it is going to be Hawkins. Hawkins is chasing, but it is going to be Lee who's going to be our next finisher. Lee's going to see that rock arch coming up very shortly. So have we got a rider in sight behind? The answer is no. Lee's going to be our next rider coming in to the finish now. We started off nice and easy, remember, in theory. In practice, I don't think it was that. It was absolutely brutally quick coming through the finish, and at the moment Lee just coming in. You see riders still going in the opposite direction. We've got to go around the turn and come back in to the finish. I think Hawkins is going to be the nearest rider on the course, but Lee going to be the next rider in through the finish. So great riding by Joanne Lee. Joanne Lee goes through the finish, and we are going to jump back across because Hawkins should be our next rider heading in to that finish. Just got the finish coming into sight around that corner. You can see lots of people are putting in power-ups coming back in the opposite direction. It's always a good feeling on the way through. So some very fast kicks on the way in to the finish. Some fast riding. The women's only Wednesdays on the Donny Chaingang going to be coming out to you every 2 weeks. And some great riding. 58 minutes of riding complete at the moment. And just seeing Sarah on her way in to the finish. Fantastic to see the riders making their way in. And remember, the warm down takes you in to the blue banner. So Hawkins comes through underneath that Fuego Flats line. Some very fast sprint times on Fuego Flats, 34 seconds. It's a long way. It's 500 meters. From the kick there on the way in now. It's going to be Emma Gilbert's our next finisher today. So Gilbert just making her way in to the rock arch finish here. So it's going to be Emma Gilbert, our next rider in. And then I think there's going to be two riders fighting it out, Debbie Gray and Nicola Loveland. And we're going to just have a double check on that as they come in back towards us. So we're just going to take a little bit of a jump back. So Tarry on her way in. So it's going to be Kaz Tarry. Kaz in that leading group for a long time. Just distance as we came through towards that going out the other side of it. And that makes a difference. Once you lose the group, it does get very, very hard indeed. However, great riding by Tarry here as she makes her way in towards that archway. Just starting to come out in the distance. And the red beacon just coming on the way back through. So Tarry going to be our next rider in and through the line. You can just see it appearing underneath our riders. So great riding by Kaz, who's going to go in and underneath the gantry. Now I'm going to try and drop in with Gray and Loveland. Now is this going to be a two-up sprint here between these two? So Debbie Gray and Nicola Loveland, the two riders together here. They're going to see the marker here. This is 500 meters to go as you go past the flashing marker on the right hand side. Just see the red beacon coming the opposite direction. These two now with 500 meters to go. Debbie Gray at the moment 172 beats a minute. Loveland 179. Very closely matched, these two. Nothing to choose between them as they make their way in towards that arch. Remember, they're finishing at that rock arch today. Who is it going to be? Who's going to come in? Are they going to be pushing a faster time? Debbie Gray's time under here, 45.54. And just looking for Loveland's time at the moment. It's going to be a time. Just have a little look on here. Always fun when the team names pop up. So So Gray's going to come through, going to lead these two through. Loveland holding the back wheels as go in and through. They make their way underneath the line. Now behind there are a few riders all together, and I think it is going to be our Beacon group, our Red Beacon group, who are on the way in towards the finish here. It's a big pack as well, which is even better to see. So whilst this group are just coming around the turn on the run into the finish, let's see if we can get hold of our yellow beacon. Hopefully going to be on the end of a phone line, warming down and watching our riders on the way into the line. And our Red Beacon group working really, really well today. And let's see what our Yellow Beacon has got to say about today's ride. So, Emma, how are you doing?
Oh, that was fantastic, Matt. Absolutely loved it.
Is it good to be back?
Oh, absolutely brilliant. That was just fantastic. The group stayed together longer than I thought it was going to, which was absolutely brilliant.
And our riders coming in now. These are the riders coming in with the Red Beacon, and we're seeing a big old sprint coming up here. They're not messing about on the run in here. Already there's people coming in, and I think Muddy's going to kick it here, I would imagine, on the run into the finishing arch.
As we all know, Matt, the Donny Chaingan's got something for everyone. It doesn't matter what group you finish in, there's always a sprint to the line.
Well, it's definitely happening at the moment. It looks like it's going to be Lyons who is leading that out. This is the arch coming up. It looks like Heather's going to try and put a kick in. Big old finish here. So Heather put a kick in. Muddy's in here. They're going to the line. Absolutely frantic on the way through. And people setting PBs on that last little kick to the finish is brilliant to see.
That's brilliant. It's what the Donny Chaingang's all about. And it's great to have Women Only Wednesdays back.
It certainly is. We're going to let you go back to whatever wind tunnel from hell that you're currently in.
It's a good fan.
It sounds like it. We'll catch up later on, and thanks very much, Emma. We'll see you in a couple of weeks on the Women's Only Wednesdays.
Brilliant. Thanks, Matt.
And peace descends. So, great ride. Great to see our riders now making the way in and through the finish. Our riders just making the way towards that blue banner. I am going to wrap it up for tonight because we've had a great ride. We've had some great work together by the guys on the Chaingang. And I gotta say, brilliant to see everybody out and riding on the Women's Only Wednesdays. Don't forget, we're back in 2 weeks' time. Tell your friends if they want to get on it to make sure they get in and get those links in. Register for it. We then run through the register. Just make sure we remove spam bots, anybody who's going to damage the ride or damage the riders on it. And then once that's done, everybody heads out and gets the link to join the Zwift link. If you want to help support it, don't forget you can either register to get all of the links sent all the way till March, or you can of course join the DCG gang, the Donny Chaingang Supporters Club, where we look after our riders who are committing to a fairly substantial payment every month. It's a whole £20, which realistically with the discounts we give you, you get back pretty much as soon as you put an order in with one of the people who help us out. We've got to say a massive thank you to all of our suppliers, supporters, our riders, and of course the members of the DCG gang. Of course to our red beacons, to Maddie tonight, and of course to our yellow beacons tonight. Of course on the Women's Only Wednesday it is Emma from the AEO team. From me, Matt Payne, from Emma, and from everybody on the Chain Gang. We'll see you tomorrow. It's another Donny Chaingang. you.